Hola, ¿cómo estás? El tiempo es 1:51 p.m. Y soy Eric y esta es Eric on el Mundo podcast. Hey, you didn't think I was gonna get to it this week, did you? It's Wednesday. But I'm 9 hours ahead, so it's not so bad, right? I am in Barcelona, and boy, what's a lot sure has happened since we last talked, right? Um, I am on my way. I'm here for 8 days. I'll be leaving a week from today. Back to Berlin, where I still don't have housing or know where I'm going to live. But I guess getting back to some sense of normalcy, if you can call me being in an international hostel during a pandemic normal, which it was for a portion of the last 16 months. It has been crazy. I had my comedy show that happened. I actually have now booked 3 or 4 shows here in Barcelona. Wouldn't that be the dream to travel doing comedy and this silly little podcast of mine? My comedy show in Oakland, the show on the whole went really well. Thank you to all of you who came out. I myself ate shit on stage for 10 minutes. Now, part of that is the duty of the host. You gotta jump on the grenade. You gotta bite the bullet, take the bullet, as they say. And yeah, part of it was that. Part of it was hard. They're not used to having a comedy show, and it's like, come on, everybody, we're doing a comedy show now. Please stop talking. But the material was dark. I did 90% new stuff, and talked a lot about my mental health, which we've talked about on here. I never thought I was going to be a guy to talk about his mental health. Like, that wasn't my thing, and it has certainly become my thing. The last few years, the last year, but like really since I've been back in the U.S., it's been fucking shitty. Still not great, but like I think you can hear it in my voice. Like, I definitely feel better having like extricated myself from whatever environment in the U.S. and I just seem to like get along better. I don't know. It's also the places where I'm living, right? Like Bushwick, Brooklyn, Berkeley, like these are not like your quote unquote like normal American towns. I think a big takeaway for me was really this whole notion of, you can't step into the same river twice, right? We've discussed that. And I just don't know what like I thought the notion was going to be. Or I'm sorry, the notion was that I was going to have like, I don't know, it would kind of like replicate this like hostel life that I have. And the co-op life that I had back in the day, and that just simply wasn't the case. And part of it's that the environment's changed. We're in a different time. Social media and smartphones have ruined everything. As I record on my smartphone and post this to social media. And then part of it is me, right? I'm older, but also like my mental health isn't great. I've wondered, like, I've Googled, which is scary to say, like, if I have an actual like diagnosable mental illness. What's the like the not bipolar. What's that fucking one where you like have an on-off mode, like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde almost kind of a thing, It's not the one that it's not the Mr. Robot thing. Anyway, point is, I do wonder, like, oh fuck, do I have this thing? My last night in the co-op, I was alerted that actually the person who was going to take over my room was coming a night early, so I had to actually move just for my last night, and I was alerted to this at like 8 in the evening on 4th of July. It's like, oh shit, I gotta move all my stuff. So that was like stressful, and I was already feeling like shit, and the huge as it's been. And so I thought maybe I'm not going to do anything. But then like they wanted to use this mic I'm talking to sing karaoke, and I love karaoke. And I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to go up there and hang out. Got fucking trashed. I've also been experimenting with microdosing mushrooms per the suggestion of some friends. I don't know if that's been a good idea or not, and to what extent that's affected me. I am also not sure if it's these anti-balding drugs, and I'm also not sure if it is this anti-hangover pills that I have, which genuinely help to not give you a hangover. But I'm wondering if you take them too much, it has this ingredient called DHM, if that works with like suppressing your serotonin or whatever. It works on your GABA receptors. I don't fucking know if any doctors are listening to this. So like there's me, that's a problem. There's the environment, that's a problem. But then there's also like all sorts of shit I'm putting into my body that is, might be ostensibly in the name of helping me, but who knows if that's the case or not. So sang karaoke, and then did not remember this until the next day. Well, so I'm going to say there's a part I don't remember till the next day. Then I come back and I have class. I have comedy class, comedy media studies class at 3 a.m. And I get on and I'm like, no, I keep missing too many classes just because of the time zone difference. Like, and I have a quota to fill. And I get on and I am hammered and on some varying degree of like microdosed mushrooms and whatever else. And was very what's the word, not brash. I mean, I was brash, but I don't know, I can't think straight right now. We're just it's a bit much, like my professor had to tell me to stop cursing because I kept dropping F-bombs, like not in a way that would in any conversation like be particularly odd for me, but there's the German, he's British, those sensibilities are maybe a little different, and it's an academic environment. So that was maybe being on a Zoom call like while I'm trashed in class is not a great idea, but it was 4th of July, like what was I supposed to do? Not drink? And so anyway, the next day it's like this big whole thing where like and now I need to pack up again to actually get on the plane, and I managed all right, like in all my travels up until this point, but I guess I just acquired like a shit ton of toiletries and like a pair of running shoes, and those things alone like really pushed me over the edge where I was like, damn, I have a lot of shit and it's not all fitting into my bag, and I'm like holding like 4 grocery bags like the Chinese ladies on the Muni with their produce, they coming in and so it's like, okay, how am I gonna? I wanted to see my friend Jeannie before I took off, so I was gonna BART into the city. I don't think this is interesting. It was just a comedy of errors where it's like the Clipper card wouldn't load because my credit card changed, but I had money on it, but then they locked it and wouldn't let me use my own money, and then I couldn't get on the bus to get to BART, and so I took a Lyft to BART, but then I couldn't get on BART. I had to buy a whole new Clipper card, and they stole like $54 fucking dollars of mine in that regard, and then so I missed the train, and then I finally took the train, and then Jeannie's like, you don't have enough time to meet up with me before we go to the airport, so I still wanted to see her just because, mental health. On the walk to the bus, I get reminded of this part of the evening that I had totally forgotten, and that was that for some reason between the end of karaoke, which had to have been like 1-ish in the morning, and my class, which started at 3, I wandered around the neighborhood looking for a party to crash, which is something me and my buddy in college used to do. We used to like find parties and be like, oh, I know, fucking Amanda. And then we would just like end up hanging out at the party. I actually met some really good friends through doing that. Again, I'm thinking, right, it's 2005 all over again. Turns out it's not. I hear a party, but it's in this like gated community, which is not common in that area of Berkeley. I'm like, oh, come on, there's got to be a way to get in here. They're having like a fucking rager in there. And so I take it upon myself to hop over a gate and then wander into this backyard and like go into the house, and like I see everyone. I'm like, all right, here's my time. Yeah, Amanda, right? And immediately it's like they're 20 years old and they see this 35-year-old guy. They're like, what are you doing here? Do you know someone? I was like, Amanda. And then they're like, there is no Amanda here. And I was like, oh, okay, sorry. I was looking for this party. I can go grab some beer and stuff. And they're like, no, you should leave, which is reasonable for them to say, right? But in my head, I'm thinking this is going to be this like fun-loving kind of, we're all going to hang out kind of thing. And as it turns out, that is not the case at all. And yeah, so if you had like a 35-year-old man wandering into your backyard and coming into your house, you would probably, question why. So that's fair. That's something that I remembered. So, some erratic behavior, some manic behavior for sure. Then trouble getting to the airport. And then they do this thing. It was this budget airline of Iberia where it's called Level. And it's $231 one way. Not bad at all. But they did this stupid ass thing where they divided the line up because it was so long. And the way the line they put me in, I ended up, despite the fact that I was about halfway through the line in total, being the literal last person to check in, which was very frustrating and adding to the whole comedy of errors that was getting here to Europe. However, I'm here, and that's the good thing. I gotta say about flying, I am not a good flyer. I hate turbulence so much, and I know statistically it doesn't do anything, but it is just, your body is not meant to be going that fast, that high. From an evolutionary standpoint, everything about it, your body is freaking out, saying this is no bueno. And there were some bad moments. Like, I've never actually seen this before, but there was a point at which the flight attendant got knocked over from a real big bang. And I mean, manly men like grabbing the seat in front of them and gasping. I just don't want to die. That's the thing. Don't want to die in any way whatsoever, but in a plane crash, certainly being one of them. And, you're confronted with that when you hit a bunch of turbulence. I'm here now, though, and that's a good thing. I feel momentarily at least better than I have the last few months. My Spanish, like, I don't speak great. I mean, I don't speak Spanish, but like I can say enough to get around. In a way that I'm much more confident than my German, even though I think ostensibly I've like done more hardcore studying of German. It just doesn't come as naturally, and I think that is an effect of, I guess, being exposed to Spanish from like a young age. But definitely enjoying my time here. I'm going to go. I was here 15 years ago with my sister. She bought me a trip for my 21st birthday. Super awesome. I loved it. I loved traveling. She did not like it. My family, they're creatures of comfort. This is pre-smartphones and Google Maps and so forth. We definitely did spend 3 hours, 2 days in a row, wandering around until she could find a McDonald's or a Subway sandwich, and I have the photo evidence to prove it. Do I love the food in Spain? No, it's very ham-focused. I'm not a big ham guy, but, when in fucking Rome, eat the fucking ham, So I'm going to go back and see, like, all the things that I saw when I was 21. La Sagrada Familia and the Gaudi Park, and go to the beach, because I think we were here in October, and, the weather was colder. Go to the fucking beach here. Get some sun on my pasty-ass self. And I have a comedy show tonight. And I have comedy shows for the rest of the week. Super glad and awesome about that. Oh, and by the way, apparently Barcelona is going into another mini lockdown just as soon as I got here. Friday night, clubs have to close. I hope that doesn't affect the comedy clubs. And hopefully doesn't progress any further. But this Delta variant's out there, and people are worried about it, understandably so. But I'm vaccinated. I found out a lot of, the U.S. threw their fucking money around and bought a shit ton of vaccines. It's why I went back to the U.S. And apparently, like, in Europe, like, people my age and younger, like, not a high vaccination rate. So where better to protect myself from this new Delta variant than in an international hostel in Barcelona? So hopefully I don't get that. Hopefully I don't spread that. I am going to get going. Thank you for listening. I'm sorry this is late, but I wanted to get something out there. And speaking of getting back to some sense of normalcy, hoping again to have like guests on. And maybe I can actually do the thing that I was going to do with the initial iteration of An American in Berlin and actually get like a shit ton of people in real life from Berlin and Germany on the show. But we'll stick with that Eric on the world name and branding. Yeah. All right, yeah, follow me if you want to at Eric on the World. Come see my comedy shows if you happen to be in Barcelona, and certainly in Germany. I want to be starting to book those as well. Thanks so much for listening, and until next time, no matter where you are in the world, be well and be loved.
Romance threw itself off the 30th floor. Get up.